guys. So you're gonna have to be looking up here. You don't need your laptops, put your laptops away. You just need your notebook, no laptops. Close your laptops, Alfonso. Oh, okay. But go ahead and do that quickly because we
Actually, do that later.
Do that later,
Doesn't
yeah.
matter, just-
Alright, so take out your notebooks. Alright, so we are continuing to work on CAS practice. You guys, this is very important. Today we're gonna start talking about colon and parallel structure. These are two things that will be in the CAS next week. So we really want to push you to do your best. This test is very important because it determines, the scoring of our school. It determines your grade levels, and we also wanna push you to do your best so that you can get that grade bump. So it's important that you do your best on this test. Today, we're gonna be starting talking about colon and parallel structure, and this will be on the test, so it's important that you pay close attention, and take notes. We are gonna start talking about the colon. What is a colon? What does a colon look like? What is a colon? Nobody knows what a colon is?
The sign.
Sander?
It's a sign, so it introduce something,
Yeah, it's a sign, but what does it look like?
2 dots.
2 dots, right? It's just 2 dots. Right. So, in your groups, I'd like you to take a look at this sentence. What punctuation belongs here? I need 3 things for class: pencils, paper, and a notebook. So I'll give you guys like 30 seconds to discuss in your groups what punctuation belongs in this sentence. Is it a comma? Is it a semicolon? Is it a colon? Let's see if you guys were testing your punctuation skills. You can discuss in your groups. Alright, so what should go in this sentence?
Colon.
A colon, right? That's correct, because they're introducing a list of things. I need 3 things for class: pencils, paper, and a notebook. So you're gonna title your notes on top, colon, and just colon notes. This, we're gonna do parallel structure after. Alright, so a colon is used after a complete sentence to introduce a list, an explanation, an example, or a quote. So the key rule, a simple way to remember is the words before the colon must be an independent clause. What is an independent clause? What's an independent clause? Nobody knows what an independent clause is? A sentence that stands on its own. Good job. Yeah, it's a complete sentence, right? A complete thought. So a colon will come before a complete sentence. So you see, we look at this sentence right here. I need 3 things for class. That's a complete sentence, right? But they're adding more to the sentence by introducing a list of things. So then that's when you add a colon and you list the things that you need: pencils, paper, and a notebook. So go ahead and write this down in your notebook. on to the next slide. I will be posting these on Teams after class today, so you will have to go back and finish your notes if you don't finish. But we have to move quickly because today we need to go over colon and parallel structure, and we wanna make sure we have enough time. So here are some examples of when to use a colon. So we use a colon to introduce a list, right? So if we say, I brought everything I need, pencils, paper, and snacks. To introduce an explanation, for example, she had one fear, failure. Before a quote, the teacher made an important announcement. The test will be tomorrow. And to introduce an example, there is one place I want to visit, Japan. So you see how all of these examples, the very first part that comes right before the colon is a complete thought, right? It's an independent clause, a complete sentence that has both a subject and a predicate. Alright, we're gonna move on to the next slide. Here you'll see examples of misuse of the colon. So, using the colon incorrectly. You should not put a colon after the words such as, including, or for example. So you see in the sentence, it says, we have many toppings. For example, olives, peppers, and mushrooms. That is incorrect. So if we were to add, we have many toppings such as olives, peppers, and mushrooms, that's incorrect. So it should not come before the words such as, including, or for example. But if we remove those words, we have many toppings, right, that's a complete sentence, colon, olives, peppers, and mushrooms, that would be correct. Between a verb and its object or complement, so for example, in a rage, Casey threw the book, the phone, and the pillow. That would be incorrect. Between a proposition and its object, I'm going to the party with Selena, Marisela, and Ellie. So that's incorrect. If a colon introduces a list and the sentence cannot continue after the list if finished. So for example, right here, Casey packed everything, the meat, the eggs, and the fruit, and the picnic basket in the car. You see how the sentence continues after the colon? So it should be Casey packed everything, the meat, the eggs, and the fruit, right? That should be the end of the sentence. So the sentence cannot continue after the list if finished.
So these are all.
gonna move on to the next slide. So we're gonna watch these two videos really quick that explains how to link a function, linking functions of the colon and the colon as a separator. I think we're just gonna watch maybe about the first 3 minutes of this video. Pose attention to these because they explain it really well. Can you get the lights, Adrian, please?
Hello, grammarians. In this video, I'm going to tell you about a piece of punctuation called the colon. The colon is these two little dots right here, one stacked on top of the other, and it has quite a few functions, just like a lot of other pieces of punctuation. The idea of this linking function is that the colon can link an independent or dependent clause with another independent or dependent clause or a phrase or a word when there's a strong connection between the two things that it's linking. So if I want to tell someone what I think about two movies about animals, I could say, both movies are great, but Sky Pal has one thing that makes it better. Dogs that play sports. This is one sentence with two parts that are linked with this colon. So the first part says, both movies are great, but Sky Pal has one thing that makes it better. And that could stand alone as a sentence, but it doesn't tell us what that one thing is. So the colon comes in and tells us, I'm about to tell you what that thing is. Dogs that play sports. So in this case, the colon just sort of serves as a connection between the purple part of the sentence and the yellow part of the sentence. Another example is something like, going skydiving made me face one of my greatest fears, parachutes. Right, again, this colon is sort of linking these two parts of the sentence where one answers an unanswered question from the first part, like, what is this greatest fear? Well, it's parachutes. The colon is here to link between this whole independent clause and the word parachutes. I could just as well say, going skydiving made me face one of my greatest fears, period. That's a perfectly fine sentence. But without a colon linking to what that fear is, that sentence kind of just leaves us wondering. So another sort of subset of the colon's ability to link things is that it can introduce things. One thing that the colon can introduce is a list. I could say, we needed to find 3 more items on the scavenger hunt. A 4-leaf clover, a cauldron, and an abandoned ship. The second thing a colon can introduce is an item. If I'm talking about the other day when I had a weird legume craving, I could say, I only wanted one thing from the grocery store, peanuts. Lastly, a colon can introduce a quote. So, my friend Liz says it best. Never open a jar of pickles you can't close. I'm not really sure what that means, but she does say it best. So, as you can see, like it was in the first couple example sentences, there's kind of information missing from the first parts of all 3 of these sentences. We needed to find 3 more items on the scavenger hunt. Well, what did you need to find? Or, I only wanted one thing from the grocery store. What did you want? Or, my friend Liz says it best. Well, what does she say? That's where the colon comes in, to introduce that missing information. So there's one final case of the linking function of the colon that I want to get into in this video. If you remember from the beginning of the video, I said that colon...
Okay, we're gonna stop there. I'm gonna watch this.
today we're going to talk about the third and final function of the colon. So this final function of the colon is that it can be used as a separator. So it might sound like we're talking about the comma again, right? The comma separates elements of a sentence, but the colon does it in kind of a different way. So let's look at some examples. So one common use of the colon as a separator is in titles. So you can have two separate parts of the title, or like a title and a subtitle for a book or a movie or a TV show, and there will be a colon in between them. We can have something like Bear Man, Adventures in Alaska. Another common use of the colon as a separator is in citations from a book or a poem, and pretty often the Bible. For example, we can use it to separate the number of a Bible chapter from the number of the verse. If we want to reference 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4, we can write it like 1 Corinthians 13:4. Finally, we can use the colon to separate the hour from the minutes in the time of day. If I want to tell someone what time it is, I can say, it is now 10:09 a.m. And between the 10, which is the hour of the day, and 09, which is the minutes, we put a colon. So that's how the colon works as a separator. We can use it in titles, citations, and times. You can learn anything, page out.
Alright, so when can we use a colon? Can you get the light section, please? Thank you. When do
Hello,
we use a
librarians.
colon?
Hello, Paige.
Hi, David.
So,
When do we use a colon? Time to separate the hour from the minutes. What else? Titles, right? What else? It's on your notes. Jonathan? Quotes. To introduce a list. Good job. Yes. What else? There should be one more, I think. A quote. Sender? An example or an explanation, right? Yeah. All right. So on your desk, there's a paper that looks like this. In your notebooks, so go ahead and turn the page on a new page. You're going to complete this practice.
This, are you gonna let them do it on the note, because we have less time.
Oh, okay. Oh, on this
Yeah,
paper?
yeah.
Okay. Never mind, guys. You guys can write on this paper.
Write your name on it with the
Yeah.
period on top right corner.
All right.
Not
So,
this one, the colon practice.
yes.
Colon practice. Gosh, read.
So here you're going to read the following sentences.
Colon.
You're going to identify which sentences need
You
a
have
colon.
He needs one. Anybody who doesn't have this paper on their desk?
All right, so you're going to read the sentences and you're going to identify which sentences need a colon. So you're just gonna write down right where the colon should be. It says 2 sentences are correct, but there's actually 3 sentences that are correct. So 3 sentences are correct. For those, just go ahead and write correct right next to them. So I'll give you guys 12 minutes to do this. This should be quick, guys, so I'll give you guys 5 minutes. Because you're not writing.
No, the previous class we made them write the sentence. It
Yeah,
took a longer time. So you just have to fix
Yeah,
it,
you're
yeah.
just writing on this paper, you're just
You're writing
fixing
on
it.
this
You're
paper, you're just fixing it.
you're just writing where the colon should be, so you're just writing the colon.
And highlight if it stands out.
There are 3 sentences that are correct. There are 3 sentences. You guys have about 30 seconds. Alright, so you're gonna switch papers with someone in your table, so go ahead and switch papers.
Did you highlight where you added the colon? Highlight that so it stands out clearly.
Roxana, go ahead and switch papers with someone. Did you guys switch papers over here? Okay. Back there, did you guys switch papers? David, Miss Rum? Did you guys switch papers? Alright, so this is gonna be out of 10 points, each one is worth 1 point. Number 1 says, there are 2 kinds of people in the world, those who divide the world into 2 groups and those who don't. Where should the colon be? Between what? World and those, yes, between world and those, good job. Number 2, ISU's model is Veritas Vos Liberabit. The truth will make you free. one's a little tricky. What should it be? Erica, do you know? Do you wanna take a guess? Anthony?
Before
Before what?
the whole.
The quote, yes, before the quote. So after liver rabbit. Number 3, Idaho offers many outdoors activities such as fishing, skiing, and hiking. Someone over here, Adrian.
Between cows and fishing? What is the activities and such?
Wow, what do you think, Jonathan? You wanna,
I think the sentence is correct.
right, the sentence is correct, why?
It sounds correct.
No. You guys keep in mind that such as, or for example, those words come, then you cannot use a colon.
Right, so we have the word such as,
If they did
You
not
need a
have
colon.
such as, then it would have used a colon.
remember, that's why I left it up there, such as, including, for example, you don't need to add a colon. So that sentence is correct. I live by Oscar Wilde's advice, the only way to get rid of a temptation is to yield to it. Someone over here is studied
Before the quote.
before the quote, yes. So right after advice. Number 5, the radio was playing her favorite songs, Kentucky Rain and Blue Suede Shoes. Alfonso?
That's correct.
No. Xander?
Before Kentucky Rain.
Before Kentucky Rain, right? So that one, right after songs. Number 6, when you go to the store, don't forget to get toothpaste, orange juice, and dog food.
Before toothpaste.
What is it, Rudy?
Before toothpaste.
Before toothpaste? No, that one's correct, actually. Why do you think it's correct, Xander? Right, we don't need a colon, right, because they're introducing a list, but if you say when you go to the store, don't forget to get, that's not a complete sentence. Right? That's not an independent clause, so that one's correct. Number 7, she plays 3 instruments, the fiddle, the mandolin, and the recorder. It should be between instruments and the fiddle, right, because they're introducing a list. Number 8, her many attempts had one thing in common, complete failure. What should it be?
Before complete.
Before complete, yes. Her many attempts had one thing in common, colon, complete failure. Number 9, we saw daffodils, apple blossoms, and lambs in the fields. Spring is here. Ms. Room, do you wanna take a guess, number 9? Where should it be?
Before daffodils.
Before daffodils? No. What do you think, Seti?
Is it correct?
No, it's not correct. Xander?
Before spring is here.
Before spring is here, right? We saw daffodils, apple blossoms, and lambs in the fields. That's a complete sentence. They're just adding more to it. Spring is here. Number 10, Thomas Jefferson observed, the harder I work, the more luck I seem to have. That sentence is Diana? It's correct, yes. Right, because if we say Thomas Jefferson observed, that's not a complete sentence, right? So, all right. So go ahead and write down how many they got correct, and then give their papers back. Who got 10 out of 10? Anyone? Nobody? 9 out of 10? Come on, people, raise your hand. 8?
What'd you get wrong, Erica?
I got ISU's motto is
It has a
semicolon.
colon and a
Oh,
comma,
then
that was
strongly
tricky.
placed colon.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. This is the motto, it means this, so then there should be a colon there. And in your SCAT, sorry, in your cast, you will have, they will give you a bunch of sentences and say which is correctly punctuated. Or which is used correctly with colon. So then you have to choose, read carefully, sometimes they ask you to select two. Okay?
Alright, so we are gonna move on to parallel structure. So you're gonna continue on your notes, just write parallel structure. You can just continue on that page that you started your colon notes. So I want you guys to take a look at this sentence right here. Does this sentence sound right? Why or why not? So it says, I like running, to swim, and biking. So just really quick, in your groups, discuss, does the sentence sound right? Why or why not? Alright, so does it sound right? No, right? What sounds wrong? To swim, right? Because if I say I like running, swimming, and biking, that sounds a lot better, right? So, that's basically what parallel structure is. So even the word parallel means what? Aligned, right? There's structure, there's consistency. So parallel structure means using the same pattern of words to show that ideas are equally important. So a simple way to remember this is everything in a list should match. So keep everything consistent, right? So if we look at this example, I like running, swimming, and biking. That there's consistency in the sentence. So go ahead and write this in your notes. What is parallel structure? All right, we're moving on to the next slide. So here are some examples. Same verb form, they all end with ing at the very end. So if we say she enjoys reading, writing, and drawing, right, there's consistency, all of the words end with ing. Same to plus the verb form. So if we say he wants to eat, to sleep, and to relax, right, there's consistency. They're adding the word to right before the verb. And then using the same nouns. For example, the job requires skills, patience, and creativity. some non-examples, so just like we saw on that first sentence. She likes reading to write and drawing, right? What's incorrect here? What should the first sentence say? What is it, Sandra?
She likes to read.
She,
Wait, she likes to read, to write, to draw.
you can change it to say she likes to read, to write, and to draw, or what else? Or writing, yeah, she likes reading, writing, or drawing, good job. The next one, he enjoys to swim, biking, and to run,
To write.
to bike. He enjoys to swim, to
Roxana,
bike,
Are
and
you
to run.
reading around here or you're not?
Oh yeah, I'm just copying this.
Listen to what she's saying because that's important you understand that.
So why does this matter? Parallel structure makes your writing sound a lot smoother, it improves clarity, and it creates rhythm and flow, right? It just makes your sentences sound a lot better when they're, clearly punctuated and there's structure to your sentences. So I think we do have some time, right?
How long is it?
It's 5 minutes, no? Okay, so, all right. Alright, so we don't have time for our video, I'm gonna go ahead and leave this here. In your desk, we're gonna do some parallel structure practice. So in your desk, there's a worksheet that looks like this, you're gonna do this in your notebook. Shouldn't take too long, so you're just gonna write parallel structure practice, and then it starts on number 13, so you're just gonna number your paper 13 to number 20. And you're reading the sentence, so you're gonna complete the following sentence, and you're going to choose, a choice that the sentence exhibits parallel structure. So you're just going to select A, B, or C. So in your paper, you're just writing A, B, or C, you're writing down the correct answer. There's 8 questions, so I'll give you, you'll have 8 minutes to work on this.